Have you ever heard the terms boss or subordinate? I'm sure these are words everyone knows, and their relationships are easy to imagine. However, in Japan, there's a unique type of relationship that looks like boss-subordinate dynamic, even among colleagues, and it's completely separate from official job titles. This is the Senpai Kohai relationship. This Senpai Kohai relationship often begins as early as junior high school, continues through high school and university, and even persists strongly in companies, especially those focused on hiring new graduates. So what exactly is this Senpai Kohai relationship? Today, drawing from my own experience, I want to deep dive into this unique Japanese dynamic. Hello everyone and welcome to Shimba channel where we dive into the fascinating culture of Japan. I'm Kuma, a native Japanese speaker and beginning English learner. Before we get started, just a quick note. I've also prepared a Japanese voice track and subtitles for this video, so if you are studying Japanese, be sure to check out that version too. Alright, let's jump right in. So what exactly is the definition of senpai and kohai? If you look them up in a dictionary, senpai is defined as a person superior to oneself in academic, age, or status. Also a person who entered the same school or workplace earlier. Kohai is defined as a person inferior to oneself in academic, age, or status. Also a person who entered the same school or workplace later. For me, the definition of senpai as someone older or who entered the same school or workplace earlier feels right. This means that anyone who belonged to the same middle school, high school, university, or company before you is considered your senpai. The point at which the senpai-kohai relationship begins can vary depending on the environment, but in my case, it started when I joined a club in junior high school. Speaking from my personal experience, I never really paid attention to the senpai or kohai relationship in elementary school. However, when I entered the junior high, this dynamic suddenly became very apparent, especially in club activities. Now that we've clarified the definitions, what roles are actually expected of senpai and kohai within an organization? There isn't a clear-cut definition. But based on my experience, let's look at what's expected to senpai and kohai, and how they interact by organizational setting. Even in junior and high school, the senpai-kohai relationship already exists. However, opportunities to interact with senpai, in this case students in higher grades, are limited, mainly to club activities and committee work. In these settings, senpai are expected to, for example, guide and educate kohai, make decisions regarding activities, and manage the overall organization. As a result, senpai gain a certain degree of discretion in club activities and committee work. When they move up a grade and new kohai join, they are automatically expected to behave as described above, regardless of their personal wishes. Basically, senpai usually speak casually to kohai, and requests from senpai often hold a certain degree of authority for kohai. Therefore, a clear hierarchy exists, although it may vary slightly depending on the organization. The role of kohai is generally to follow the guidance of senpai and organization's policies, and to quickly adapt to the group. Kohai typically use honorifics when speaking to senpai, often the simpler teineigo, polite language. Though less common now, in some strict club activities, kohai were sometimes responsible for miscellaneous tasks. At university, similar to junior and high school, senpai-kohai relationships exist in club activities and circles. Additionally, they may also emerge within the departments or research labs. Within departments, senpai often organize events and provide various support to their kohai. For example, they might organize welcome parties for new first-year students, teach the rules of the department, offer tips on how to efficiently earn credit, provide past exam questions for classes, or even lend old textbooks. Essentially, sharing useful information. In my case, Kinda Senpai organized a welcome party for us, recommended classes, and provided past exam questions for a specialized subject. The way of speaking usually doesn't change much from junior and high school. But around this time, at meals and especially drinking parties, senpai tend to treat kohai or pay more of the bill. Another significant difference from junior and high school is that the senpai kohai relationship doesn't always align with age. Some university students might have experienced ronin, studying for entrance exams after graduating high school. So it's possible Kohai who entered later to be older than the senpai who entered earlier. However, even in such cases, regardless of age, the older Ronin students who entered later will generally be considered a Kohai. When university students join a company as a student, the senpai-kohai relationship typically emerges in the workplace. Even if a senpai holds the same position as a new employee, senpai generally takes on the role of guiding and educating the kohai. And the new employee often proceed with tasks while receiving advice and assistance from their senpai. In my case, when I joined my first company as a new graduate, I primarily learned my job from my senpai. Furthermore, here even more so than in university, it becomes common for senpai to treat kohai or pay more during meals. However, in companies, there are also many mid-career hires, and one often interacts with them as colleagues. In companies with high employee mobility, the senpai-kohai relationship may become less proponent. While I've explained the senpai-kohai relationship with various organizations, a common point is that this relationship often continues even in private settings outside of the organization. For example, if you happen to meet a senpai on the street, kohai will generally continue to use honorifics. Even after graduating from junior or high school, if you have an opportunity to interact with your former club senpai, kohai will mostly continue to use honorifics, and a senpai will usually treat them as a senpai. In this video, we've explored what the senpai-kohai relationship in Japan is like, looking at it through different organizational settings from school to work. This kind of relationship might seem a bit strange to people from other countries, but it's a deeply ingrained concept in Japan that's very familiar to Japanese people. It continues to have a significant impact on Japanese society and how people behave. Of course, the perception of these relationships varies considerably by generation, and it's less strict now than it used to be. I hope this video helps you understand a unique aspect of Japanese society. Thank you for watching my video today. I hope you find the information helpful. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Your feedback is invaluable as I continue to create content. Please subscribe to my channel for more videos. Goodbye.